The desert wind howled across the abandoned outpost, carrying the acrid scent of smoke and regret as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in blood-red streaks. Ethan crouched behind a crumbling wall, his hands trembling around a rifle he hadn't touched in years, his breath ragged. Around him, the skeletal remains of a military convoy smoldered, a grim reminder of a mission gone wrong. His squad, his brothers, lay silent, their bodies strewn like broken dolls, and in the distance, a figure emerged from the dust, a man in tattered fatigues, his face scarred, his eyes locked on Ethan with a promise of vengeance. The world seemed to hold its breath, teetering on the edge of a reckoning no one saw coming. Ethan Carter, now 32, had once been a decorated Army Ranger, a man whose courage under fire had saved countless lives in Afghanistan. But that was 5 years ago, before the ambush that claimed his team and shattered his spirit. Discharged with a medal and a haunted soul, he'd retreated to a small Texas town, working as a mechanic, his military past a shadow he buried beneath grease and silence. The townsfolk saw him as a broken man, a recluse who flinched at loud noises, a far cry from the hero he'd been. Yet beneath the scars and the doubt, a fire still smoldered. A training, a duty, a secret he'd locked away. The tension ignited when the stranger from the desert, a man named Razor, tracked him down. Razor's voice cut through the garage's quiet, accusing Ethan of betrayal, claiming he'd abandoned his squad to die. The words struck like bullets, reopening wounds Ethan thought had healed. Razor, a former interpreter who'd served with Ethan's unit, had survived the ambush and carried a grudge forged in loss. The confrontation drew a crowd, locals whispering, some jeering, turning Ethan's sanctuary into a public trial. His hands shook as he faced Razor, the weight of guilt and shame pressing down, but a flicker of his old resolve stirred. He'd been exonerated by the military, yet the truth of that day remained his private hell. The conflict escalated under the garage's flickering lights. Razor lunged, his fists fueled by rage, and Ethan stumbled back, his reflexes dulled by years of avoidance. The townsfolk circled, their murmurs a chorus of judgment, but as Razor's blow connected, something snapped. Muscle memory kicked in. Years of ranger training flooded back. Ethan blocked the next strike, twisting Razor's arm with a precision that silenced the crowd. They grappled across the concrete, tools clattering, until Ethan pinned Razor, his chest heaving, his eyes burning with a mix of anger and sorrow. "I didn't leave them," he rasped. "I carried 2 out before the blast took me down." The rising tension peaked when Sheriff Daniels arrived, his badge glinting as he pulled the men apart. Ethan braced for arrest, his past mistakes flashing before him. Nights of drinking, the fights he'd lost to his demons. But Razor, panting, spoke through gritted teeth. "He's right. I saw it before I ran." The confession hung heavy, a twist that unraveled the narrative. Razor hadn't just survived. He'd fled, leaving Ethan to drag wounded comrades to safety, a truth buried by trauma. The crowd's jeers turned to murmurs of awe, and Sheriff Daniels lowered his gun, his gaze softening. "You're still a soldier, Carter. Never stop being one." The aftermath unfolded like a slow dawn. Razor, broken by his own admission, offered a shaky apology, revealing he'd sought Ethan to confess, not to fight. The town, once quick to judge, began to see the hero beneath the scars. Ethan didn't seek redemption. He rebuilt it, piece by piece. He started a veterans support group, using his garage as a meeting place, his story a beacon for others. Flashbacks of the ambush faded, replaced by the sound of laughter and gratitude. One evening, as the sun set over the Texas plains, Ethan stood with a group of vets, their faces lit by a bonfire, and for the first time, he felt the weight lift. His past, once a chain, became a shield. The outpost in his mind, once a graveyard, transformed into a symbol of survival. Razor, now an ally, helped Ethan honor the fallen with a memorial, a steel cross erected where the convoy had burned. Ethan's hands, once trembling, now steadied a hammer, forging a new legacy. The town that had doubted him rallied, their respect earned through his quiet strength. He was no longer the broken mechanic, but a warrior who'd faced his shadow and won, his story a testament to resilience and justice. The school bell rang like a war drum. its echo reverberating through the hollow corridors of Westridge High as Mia stepped into the aftermath of her bathroom stand. The air buzzed with whispers, students parting like a sea as she walked, her wet clothes replaced with a borrowed hoodie, her face a mask of quiet resolve. The incident had spread like wildfire. Jace sprawled on the tile, Tara's tearful confession, Coach Hensley's stunned recognition of her father's name. Yet beneath the newfound stares of all lay a storm of doubt. Would the school punish her? Would Jace's family, with their wealth and influence, turn this into a vendetta? Her heart thudded, a rhythm of fear and pride, as she headed toward the principal's office. Inside, the room felt like a courtroom. Principal Hargrove sat behind a polished desk, his stern face framed by shelves of trophies, symbols of a school that prized order over justice. Coach Hensley stood by the window, his arms crossed, while Jace's mother, Mrs. Thornton, paced like a caged lioness, her designer heels clicking with every step. "This is assault!" she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "My son is the victim here!" Maya's stomach churned, her hands clenching under the table. She defended herself, but the system might not see it that way. Her father's training had prepared her for physical battles, not this legal gauntlet. Doubt crept in. Had she traded one prison for another? The tension mounted as Hargrove reviewed the security footage, the grainy images showing Jace's aggression and Maya's swift counter. Coach spoke up, his voice gravelly. "She acted in self-defense, sir, and she's Dan Hayer's daughter, trained by one of the best." The name hung in the air, a lifeline Maya hadn't expected. Mrs. Thornton scoffed, but her argument faltered as Tara entered, her head down, a written statement trembling in her hands. "I lied for Jace," she admitted, her voice breaking. "We all did." Maya didn't start it. The room fell silent, the weight of truth shifting the balance. Maya's eyes widened. Her secret strength had sparked a ripple, turning a witness against the tide. But the conflict deepened when Jace, his arm in a sling, burst in, his face a mask of rage and humiliation. "She's lying!" he shouted, pointing at Tara. "This is a setup!" The accusation ignited a chaotic exchange, voices overlapping as Hargrove struggled to maintain control. Maya's mind raced, flashes of her father's lessons. Stay calm, assess, strike when ready, guiding her. She stood, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Check the phones. The videos will show who started it." The room froze, and Mrs. Thornton's confidence wavered as Hargrove ordered the evidence collected. The wait was agonizing, each second stretching into eternity, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and tension. The twist came with the footage. The phones, confiscated and reviewed, revealed the full story. Jace forcing Mia toward the toilet, the girl's laughter, the moment she fought back. Hargrove's face hardened, and Mrs. Thornton's protests died as the truth played out. "Jace is suspended," he declared, his tone final. "Mia, you're free to go, pending a review." The relief was a tidal wave, but it carried a new weight. Coach pulled her aside, his eyes soft. "Your dad saved my life once. I owe him and you." The revelation that her father's legacy extended to this man, a mentor figure, redefined her struggle. She wasn't alone, her past was her shield. Their days turned to weeks and Maya's life transformed. The school, once a battlefield, became a place of uneasy respect. Jace's suspension lingered, his popularity eroded, while Tara sought Mia out, offering to help with a veterans' charity in her father's name, a penance that felt genuine. Mia hesitated, her trust battered, but her father's voice whispered forgiveness is strength. She agreed, and together they organized a fundraiser, the gym filled with students and townsfolk, a sea of faces honoring Sergeant Hayes. The event was a catharsis, her tears mingling with pride as a plaque was unveiled, etched with her father's name. As autumn leaves fell outside, Mia stood by the plaque, the cool breeze carrying the scent of change. The bullies who'd cornered her were shadows now, their power broken by the girl they'd underestimated. Her secret past, once a burden, became her legacy, a story of resilience that inspired others. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a beacon, her journey a testament to justice reclaimed. Cha-cha, the gymnasium lights blazed overhead, casting a warm glow over the sea of faces gathered for the veterans' charity fundraiser. Their murmurs a soft hum beneath the strum of a local guitarist. Mia stood near the stage, her hands clasped tightly around a framed photo of her father, Sergeant Daniel Hayes, his stern gaze captured mid-smile in his Marine uniform. The plaque bearing his name gleamed beside her, a symbol of the legacy she'd reclaimed. Yet beneath the pride, a shadow lingered. Jace's suspension had ended, and rumors swirled of his return, his family's influence brewing a storm. Her heart thudded, a drumbeat of anticipation, as the crowd's applause faded, and the night took a turn no one expected. Mia had transformed in the weeks since the bathroom incident. The school, once a place of torment, now held a fragile respect for her, fueled by Tara's redemption and the fundraiser's success. The event had raised thousands for veterans' causes, a tribute to her father that eased the ache of his loss. But the victory felt incomplete. Jace's absence had been a reprieve, his family's silence a ticking clock. Her father's training, endurance, strategy, resilience, had guided her this far, but doubt crept in. Could she face him again, or would his return undo everything she'd built? The tension snapped when the gymnasium doors banged open and Jace strode in, his arm out of the sling, his jaw set with a mix of defiance and fury. His mother trailed behind, her heels a staccato beat, her eyes locked on Mia like a predator sizing up prey. The crowd parted, whispers rising as Jace approached the stage, his voice cutting through the music. "This is a joke," he sneered, snatching the photo from Maya's hands. "And nobody's dad doesn't deserve this." The room gasped, and Maya's blood ran cold, her fingers trembling where the frame had been. The insult to her father ignited a fire, but she held back, her training whispering, "Wait for the moment." Ta-ta, the conflict escalated as Mrs. Thornton stepped forward, her voice a venomous hiss. "We'll sue the school, the charity, everyone involved. My son's future was ruined by this girl." Principal Hargrove, caught off guard, stammered, while Coach Hensley moved to Maya's side, his presence a silent shield. The crowd's mood shifted, some nodding at Mrs. Thornton's wealth, others murmuring support for Mia. The air thickened with the scent of polished wood and tension, the guitarist's chords faltering. Mia's mind raced. Her strength had won her respect, but this was a different battlefield, one of influence and law. Doubt gnawed at her. She was just a student, not a lawyer. Chato, then came the turning point. Tara, standing near the back, pushed through the crowd, her face pale but determined. "I have proof," she said, holding up her phone. The screen lit up with a video. Not the bathroom footage, but a new recording from that night, showing Jace bragging to his friends about planning the toilet water stunt. His laughter a stark contrast to his current victim act. The room fell silent, the weight of the evidence sinking in. Mrs. Thornton's confidence cracked, her hand reaching for her son, but Jace yanked away, his face flushing with panic. Maya's eyes widened. This wasn't just a defense, it was a revelation that could end his reign for good. The twist deepened when a new figure emerged from the crowd. A man in a crisp Marine uniform, his medals glinting under the lights. Captain Ellis, a comrade of her father's, stepped forward, his voice steady. "I knew Dan Hayes," he said, his gaze fixed on Mia. "He saved my life, and I've watched his daughter do the same here. This fundraiser honors him and exposes the truth." The crowd erupted in applause, but the real shock came when Ellis handed Mia a letter, yellowed with age, from her father. It detailed his pride in her, his hope she'd carry his strength, and a final lines, "If they challenge you, show them who you are." The secret of his faith in her, hidden until now, redefined her struggle. It wasn't just survival, it was legacy. The aftermath unfolded like a cinematic crescendo. Mrs. Thornton's threats dissolved as Hargrove reviewed the video, announcing Jace's permanent expulsion and a formal apology from the family. Jace stormed out, his mother trailing, their power broken by the truth. Tara, tears streaming, hugged Mia, whispering, "I owed him that." The night ended with Captain Ellis leading a toast to Sergeant Hayes, the gym alive with cheers and the clink of glasses. Mia held the letter close, her father's words a balm to her soul, his presence felt in every clap. Weeks later, the school courtyard buzzed with a new energy. The fundraiser had sparked a movement. Veterans support groups flourished, and Mia became their quiet leader, her father's plaque a rallying point. One afternoon, as golden leaves drifted down, she stood by it, the cool breeze carrying the scent of autumn. Jace and his influence were ghosts now, replaced by a community she'd forged. Her secret past, once a burden, was her strength, a story of justice that inspired others. She wasn't just a warrior, she was a legacy, her journey a beacon of redemption. The winter wind sliced through the Westridge High courtyard, carrying the crisp scent of frost and the faint echo of laughter from the veterans' support meeting inside. Mia stood beneath the plaque honoring her father, Sergeant Daniel Hayes, her breath visible in the cold air, the letter from him clutched in her gloved hands. The fundraiser had been a triumph. Jace's expulsion a victory, but a new shadow loomed. A letter had arrived that morning, its envelope stamped with a military seal, its contents a mystery that set her pulse racing. The school buzzed with holiday preparations, but for Mia, the season held a different weight. A test of her newfound strength against an unseen enemy. Maya's transformation had deepened since the gymnasium night. The veterans group, now a thriving hub of healing, met weekly in the school library, their stories of resilience mirroring her own. Tara had become a steadfast ally, her guilt channeled into organizing events, while Coach Hensley mentored Mia, his connection to her father a bridge to her past. Yet doubt lingered. Could she live up to the legacy the letter hinted at? Her father's training had prepared her for physical battles, but this felt personal, a challenge to her soul. As she unfolded the paper, the words blurred through her tears, a request from the Marine Corps to speak at a national veterans ceremony, honoring her father's sacrifice and her role in carrying it forward. The tension built as the school day ended, and a black SUV rolled into the parking lot, its tinted windows hiding its occupants. Maya's heart thudded as two Marines stepped out, their uniforms pristine, their faces stern. "Miss Hayes," one asked, his voice clipped, "we're here to escort you to Quantico for the ceremony prep." The courtyard emptied as students gawked, whispers spreading like wildfire. Maya's mind raced. Quantico, the heart of Marine training, was a world away from her quiet life. Was this an honor or a trap? Her father's voice echoed, "Trust your instincts," but the weight of expectation pressed down, her hands trembling as she nodded. The conflict erupted on the journey. Inside the SUV, the Marines revealed a twist. Jace's family, desperate to salvage their reputation, had pressured the corps to reconsider her invitation, alleging her actions were violent, not heroic. The lead Marine, Captain Rodriguez, studied her with a piercing gaze. "We need proof of your character, Miss Hayes. Your father's record is impeccable, but yours is untested." The words stung, a challenge to her identity. As they drove through the snowy landscape, Maya's doubts swelled. Had her fight against Jace undone her father's legacy? But then she remembered the bathroom, the fundraiser, the letter. Her strength was real. The tension peaked at Quantico, where a panel of officers awaited in a stark briefing room, its walls lined with flags and photos of fallen heroes. Mrs. Thornton appeared via video call, her voice a venomous drone, presenting doctored clips of the bathroom incident to paint Mia as the aggressor. The officers' faces hardened and Mia's chest tightened. Her story could end here. But Captain Ellis, her father's comrade, stepped forward, his medals clinking. "I've seen her heart," he said, pulling up Tara's video and the fundraiser footage. "She's her father's daughter." The room fell silent, the evidence a damning counter to the Thorntons' lies. The twist came when Rodriguez revealed a classified file, her father's final mission report detailing how he'd saved Ellis and others, but also how he'd written of Maya's potential, training her in secret to carry his values. "He believed in you," Rodriguez said, sliding the file to her. "This ceremony isn't just for him, it's for you." The revelation hit like a wave, redefining her journey. Her secret past wasn't just survival, it was a mission her father had entrusted to her, a legacy of courage and justice. Tears welled, but she stood tall, her voice steady. "I'll honor him." The aftermath unfolded at the ceremony, held under a vast tent, snow falling gently outside. Mia spoke, her words raw and powerful, recounting her father's lessons and her battles at Westridge. The audience, veterans, families, Marines, rose in a standing ovation, their applause a thunder that drowned her doubts. Mrs. Thornton's influence crumbled, her video call cut off while Jace, watching from afar, lowered his head, his fight lost. Captain Ellis placed a medal around Maya's neck, a posthumous honor for her father, now shared with her. The weight of the metal felt like a crown, her father's pride alive in every clink. Weeks later, back in Westridge, the snow melted into spring, and Mia stood by the plaque. The veterans group gathered around. The ceremony had elevated her story nationwide, inspiring a scholarship in her father's name. Tara smiled, handing her a letter from a young vet who'd found hope through her words. The school, once a prison, was now her fortress, its halls filled with respect. Her secret past, once a burden, was her beacon, a tale of redemption that echoed beyond the town. She wasn't just a warrior, she was a leader, her journey a testament to a legacy fulfilled. The spring sun hung low over Westridge High, its golden rays filtering through the budding trees, casting dappled shadows across the courtyard where Mia stood. The plaque honoring her father, Sergeant Daniel Hayes, gleamed with fresh polish, surrounded by a small garden planted by the veterans group, a living tribute to his memory. In her hands she held the scholarship application forms, their pages crisp with the promise of opportunity for kids like her, kids who'd fought their own battles. The national ceremony at Quantico had elevated her story, but a new challenge loomed. A letter from the Marine Corps requesting her to lead a youth leadership program, a role that would test her beyond the schoolyard. Her heart raced, a mix of pride and uncertainty, as the weight of her legacy settled deeper. Maya's journey had reshaped her world. The Veterans Support Group had grown into a beacon, its meetings now drawing families from neighboring towns, their stories of survival weaving a tapestry of hope. Tara had blossomed into a confident organizer, her past guilt transformed into purpose, while Coach Hensley's mentorship had become a steady anchor. The scholarship, named after her father, had its first recipients, 3 teens who'd faced bullying or loss, their gratitude a mirror to her own redemption. Yet doubt gnawed at her edges. Could she lead a program, guide others, when her own battles felt so raw? Her father's letter, with its final charge to show them who you are, burned in her mind, a call to step beyond survival. The tension ignited one crisp afternoon when a delegation from the Marine Corps arrived, their black SUV rolling into the school parking lot with the same authority as before. Captain Rodriguez stepped out, flanked by 2 officers, his face unreadable. "Miss Hayes," he began, his voice firm, "the program starts in 2 months. We need your commitment and a demonstration of your leadership." The courtyard fell silent as students gathered, their whispers a soft hum. Maya's chest tightened. Quantico had been a stage, but this was a command. Rodriguez handed her a dossier, profiles of troubled teens, some with military ties, others scarred by violence. "Show us you can turn their chaos into strength," he said, his eyes piercing. The challenge felt like a battlefield, and her doubt flared. Could she, a 16-year-old, bear this burden? Yet the conflict surged as the program's first session approached. Maya trained tirelessly, drawing on her father's lessons. Discipline, strategy, empathy, while juggling school and the veterans group. The first meeting, held in the gym, was a storm of emotions. 10 teens filed in, their faces a gallery of defiance and pain. One boy, Kyle, a lanky 17-year-old with a shaved head, sneered, "What's a kid like you gonna teach us?" His words echoed Jace's taunt, stirring old wounds. Another girl, Lena, a quiet veteran's daughter, sat with her arms crossed, her eyes hollow. The air crackled with tension, the scent of polished wood and sweat mingling as Mia faced their skepticism. Her hands shook, but she steadied herself, her father's voice whispering, "Lead by example." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a trust exercise, pairing them to navigate a blindfolded obstacle course. Kyle tripped Lena, his laugh a sharp blade. The room tensed, but Maya intervened, her voice calm yet commanding. "We fall together or we rise together," she said, helping Lena up. Then, turning to Kyle, she added, Your strength's wasted on breaking people. The words hit, and Kyle's smirk faltered. Mia guided them through, her movements precise, her encouragement steady. By the end, Lena smiled faintly, and Kyle muttered an apology, his defiance cracking. The officers, observing from the sidelines, nodded, but Maya knew this was just the beginning. The twist emerged during the second session, when a familiar face appeared. Jace. Expelled and disgraced, he'd enrolled in an alternative program, his mother's influence exhausted. He stood at the gym's edge, his posture slumped, his eyes avoiding Maya's. Captain Rodriguez explained, "He's here to earn community service credits." "Your call, Miss Hayes." The room froze, the past colliding with the present. Maya's heart pounded, forgiveness or justice. Her father's letter flashed in her mind, its call to show her true self. She stepped forward, her voice steady. "You can stay if you work." Jace nodded, his head low, and the teens watched, stunned. The secret of her strength, rooted in mercy, redefined her leadership, turning an enemy into a reluctant ally. The climax built over weeks. Mia led the teens through rigorous training, physical drills, conflict resolution, storytelling sessions where they shared their scars. Kyle opened up about his brother's deployment, Lena about her father's PTSD, and even Jace admitted his bullying stemmed from his own father's pressure. The gym transformed into a crucible, their sweat and tears forging bonds. Rodriguez observed, his initial skepticism fading, and one evening he approached Mia. "Your father would be proud," he said, handing her a Marine insignia pin. "You're ready." The honor was a crown, but the real victory was in the teens' transformation. Laughter replaced silence. Strength replaced shame. The resolution unfolded at the program's graduation, held under a tent in the courtyard. Spring blossoms framing the scene. Families and veterans filled the rows, their applause a thunder as Mia presented certificates. Kyle hugged her, his grin wide. Lena stood tall, her eyes bright. Jace, in the back, offered a nod of respect. Captain Rodriguez pinned the insignia on her jacket, declaring her an honorary Marine ambassador. The crowd cheered, and Maya's tears fell, not of pain, but of pride. Her father's plaque, now wreathed with flowers, stood as a witness to her journey. From a cornered girl to a leader who'd turned chaos into hope. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Mia stood by the garden, the teens and veterans around her. The school, once a prison, was now her legacy's home. Jace, redeemed through service, joined the group's maintenance crew. The scholarship thrived, its reach growing, and Maya's leadership program became a model nationwide. Her secret past, once a burden, was her power, a story of justice and redemption that inspired a generation. She wasn't just a warrior, she was a beacon, her journey a testament to a legacy fulfilled beyond her wildest dreams. Hey, epic viewers, what did you think of Maya's incredible evolution? Have you ever led others through your own struggles? Share your stories below. We're all about that real inspiration! If this cinematic masterpiece touched your heart, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs strength, and subscribe for more tales of justice and honor. Hit the bell for our next adventure. Maybe it's your story to tell. See you next time! Cha-cha.